In seventh grade was the first experience that I really had with a trans person. And it was before gym class, and I walked into the locker room, and there was a biological male standing there. And I was kind of told at that after that point that, you know, if I wasn't comfortable changing in that locker room, then I would risk being late to class by changing in the individual locker room. And so that was really my first experience. And I think just knowing that something isn't right, but not knowing what to do with that. And so I hope by me speaking up, it allows other girls to say, it's okay for me to speak up. It's okay for me to say, I don't know what to do, but this isn't right. I mean, I was in seventh grade. You know, that was never right. That should have never happened. I should have never been put in that position. And I think that's another reason why it's so big for me to speak up for the younger generations, because I never want someone else to be put in that position.
Maine High School senior Cassidy Carlisle and her father, Doug, join us right now from D.C. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Cassidy, you have been competing against trans athletes for over a year.
Yes.
And during the Biden administration, I'm sure you probably said, this is not fair. That's a guy and I'm a girl, and it's not a level playing field. Now that there's a new president in the White House with different directives, how do you feel about that?
You know, as a woman, it makes me feel so much more comfortable. You know, I'm not fighting this fight alone anymore. I have somebody who's fighting with me. Although my own state is not fighting with me currently, I have someone that's higher than them that is fighting with me.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So the 10 days are up. Remember, Maine was given 10 days to comply with Trump's executive order, and we've finally reached a conclusion. So Maine have refused to sign the deal to basically comply with the executive order. We know about the universities, they are complying. Maine university system, but that still doesn't include the school that was, you know, the issue that sparked all of this in the first place, where a transgender athlete won the girls pole vaulting state championship, Greely High School. We also had the issue with how they treated Representative Libby. She got censured simply for speaking out for women and girls. So of course, we hoped they would do the right thing, but as of now, they basically haven't complied. And we know that the governor, Janet Mills, is all for boys competing against girls in sports, is all for prioritizing the feelings of male athletes who want to infringe upon women's sports. This state governor seems to be all for LGBTQ related issues. That seems to be the priority of this person. All of that seems to matter more to Janet than allowing girls to have fair and safe sports, than protecting the free speech of girls and women in Maine as well. So officials in Maine have refused to sign a Title IX compliance agreement that would ban males from participating in girls and women's sports. The Department of Education initially launched an investigation into the state of Maine after a trans-identifying male track athlete won a state title in girls pole vaulting earlier this year. The Maine Department of Education, the Maine Principals Association, and Greely High School were all found to be in violation of Title IX. The US Department of Health and Human Services gave them 10 days either to comply or to risk being referred to the Department of Justice for appropriate action. Now that the deadline is here, Maine officials have chosen the second option. They're willing to take this all the way, it appears. The Maine Principals Association, the organisation that governs school sports in the state, cited the state's Human Rights Act in its refusal to sign the Title IX agreement. The Maine Principals Association is bound by law, including the Maine Human Rights Act, which our participation policy reflects. Spokesperson for MPA said in a statement, "We are unable to sign any resolution agreement that would mandate we create a policy that would violate the law and the MHRA." And it's official. The majority of people in Maine are against transgender athletes competing in the women's category. So they are refusing to comply with the wishes of their constituents. So a new poll revealed that the majority of residents in Maine agree with the Trump administration on the issue of protecting girls and women's sports. Earlier this month, the American Parents Coalition surveyed around 600 registered Maine voters, 63% of whom said school sports participation should be based on biological sex. The poll also found that 60% of residents would support a ballot measure limiting participation in women's and girls' sports to biological females, including 64% of independents and 66% of parents with kids under the age of 18. And we know that Rep. Libby didn't seem like she was overly optimistic about Maine complying with the executive order, but she did urge Governor Mills to do the right thing and lead the way.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one.
All right, so now the White House is giving Maine 10 days to comply with the transgender ruling. It's telling Maine it has to rescind its policy of allowing transgender athletes to compete in girls' high school sports as part of this resolution agreement. So is this going to happen? Where do you see all of this going next as you are in it so closely?
While the Democrats have doubled down, we all saw the interaction with President Trump and Governor Mills. You know, I'd love to see folks do the right thing, and that would be reverse this policy, whether that's the Maine Principals Association reversing their policy, whether that is through the legislative process. We have 3 bills that will be coming before us in the legislature that could fix this issue easily, or even seeing a reversal of stance from Governor Mills leading the way for us to follow her lead and ensure that not only are biological males not allowed to participate in girls' sports so that our girls are protected and have a fair and level playing field, but also so that our students have the millions and millions of dollars that they need here in our school.
Upon finding out about the news, of course, she says she is very disappointed that they have refused to comply. She said Governor Janet Mills, Speaker Raya Feccho, and the rest of Maine's Democrat majority have chosen an extremist agenda over sanity, ignoring the rights and safety of Maine women and girls. Despite countless pleas from the constituents and warnings from President Trump, Maine Democrats continue to force our girls to compete against biological males, effectively erasing them. That's exactly what this is doing. As a result of their refusal to comply with President Trump's executive order and protect Maine girls, they will inevitably have to face the warranted repercussions from the Department of Justice, recklessly risking hundreds of millions in federal funding for Maine students. I guess they've decided it's worth the risk. It's worth risking the loss of federal funding that's crucial to these schools. So after Trump signed his executive order, the Maine Principals Association basically said they're still going to allow transgender athletes to compete in women's sports. They openly defied the executive order. We saw what happened with Governor Mills, where she said, I'll see you in court. And with the issue now in the hands of the DOJ, it looks like she might get her wish. So I guess it's no surprise. It was great news to hear about the Maine university system. But of course, Governor Mills seemed very determined to continue this injustice against girls and women in Maine.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Yeah, it's questionable whether this is something that's going to help her political career. Maybe she can turn her act into a professional act. Because she might need to seek alternative employment come midterms. Mainers overwhelmingly believe that biological males have no place in girls' sports. It's not fair, and it's not safe for our girls. By continuing to fight President Trump on this, Maine's Democrat majority is failing our girls, putting them in harm's way, and knowingly doing the opposite of what their constituents want. It's a complete and total failure of leadership. Our girls deserve better. The Maine Democrats no longer represent citizens. They only care about ideology. Mills and Fecteau are clearly trying to harm the daughters of Mainers, along with their pack of Dem weasels. Maine needs to start voting for people that support their views. So we'll see how far this goes. We'll see how far they take it. It's very disappointing, especially seeing those girls who have had to deal with boys winning their state championships, boys in the locker room. Unfortunately, their own state governor isn't fighting for them. And it appears that they are willing to lose their federal funding. They're willing to take it that far. And I find that very disturbing. For what exactly? To destroy the women's category? To destroy the girls' category in sports? To take away opportunities from girls? This is what they're willing to do? Disenfranchising 50% of the population who have a right to fair and safe sports. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and God willing, I will see you in the next video.